Today we take a look at the Australasia Open and its results, and is Discraft about to drop an absolute bomb on us? And are we the only people who know about it? Let's talk about it. Welcome back everyone to Understable Discourse and this week's edition of the Chain Reaction, where we go back in time to look at things that happened today and prior to today and see what we can see when it comes to the future. Now, I want to talk about a few things today, namely the Australasia Open and kind of what went down out there, what we can learn from it, and also go back, look at some major contract news that has come out, kind of summarize things for people who maybe haven't been on the up and up, and talk about some stuff that I think we should pay attention to going forward as we lead into the rest of this week, and then later we have our episode coming out. So I won't take forever. Let's go ahead and get on into that. I'm going to start out with the contract stuff because I know that some people maybe haven't watched the Australasia Open yet, and I am going to talk about the results, but I'm not going to do that till the back half of the video, so I'll make sure to warn you beforehand so you can kind of get an idea of when you might want to put it on mute. But I want to go through the contracts and kind of look at some of the major announcements that have happened and maybe look at some of the players that are left, and we can make some broad assumptions on some things together. When we look at the teams themselves, we've seen kind of the standard boilerplate announcements from people like, Innova and Prodigy and a lot of these manufacturers, but MVP and Discraft are kind of doing their own thing here, with MVP's version being a little bit more muted. They came out with the 4 silhouettes, and I think it was a clever idea, but it took no time at all for people to get on and start trying to figure out who that was, which I guess is a great thing because it prompted a lot of discussion, but it also feels like we haven't been super surprised. Although I will say yesterday's announcement of Edenessa was definitely not who I think a lot of people thought was going to be in that spot, as they were all kind of pinning Katie Alsalu to be there. So that was effective in the way it kind of shifted the narrative, but I think most people are pretty settled on who the remaining silhouettes are when it comes to people specifically like who was announced today with Calvin Longquist, and then everyone feels very adamantly that we're looking at Aaron Gossage, and then the debate's up between kind of Evan Smith and Silas Schultz as to who's going to be in that 4th spot. But so MVP's doing a pretty good job of like creating conversation around an unknown or a we're not sure kind of situation, whereas Discraft knows that a lot of their players are coming back. Pretty much all their players are coming back, with the exception of Aaron Gossage, but they know that there are a few tricks up their sleeve that they're going to kind of release onto us. And one of those things happened today, and I don't think a lot of people really noticed that it happened today. In fact, I've gone back to look at the comments on Discraft's post. Nobody's talked about this. I brought it up in our edition of the Daily Hot Round, which, by the way, if you're not watching the Daily Hot Rounds, you really need to be doing that, because it comes out every day around 6 o'clock. It's 3 minutes or less, and it kind of gets you fully up to date on anything significant or impactful that's happened in the disc golf news space that day. And you don't have to wait until other major groups come out with their shows on Monday night or Tuesday night for the live shows, or whatever weekly schedule. I do stuff every single day, so you'll know what's happening every single day. So really, you should 100% be subscribing so you don't miss any of those. I promise you, it's definitely worth it, and it's a lot of fun making them because I love to be really steeped into what's happening. But because of that, if you watch that today, or whenever you're watching this, you would already know my opinion on this. So for those who are paying attention, at the very end of Discraft's team announcement today, they go through all 3 of their players. Adam Hammes gets the zone, and they say additional sources detected.
Additional sources detected.
And they have a silhouette in the background doing the thing through like the modeling, like 3D imagery they're doing. And there's a lot to learn from that moment, or a lot of questions that have come about that. So I saw that and I'm like, wait a minute. That looks like an FPO player. Not a specific FPO player, but it looks like an FPO player. And why would they put that up at the very end there if not to tease something? And, well, when you take a look at the players who are left, it has to make you wonder, because they've already announced Paige, Val, Holland, and Missy. So that leaves nobody from last year. So what FPO player could be filling that role, at least if that's what their intent was to do there? I mean, because you kind of saw what looked like a ponytail, maybe a little bit of a shorter in stature. These silhouettes haven't exactly matched up who they were for, but it looked pretty clear to me that it was an FPO player. So I went over to the contract list to look at the open free agents that are available on the FPO side, and there were 3 specifically of note. You have Raven Klein, who I think we've talked about is probably going to RPM discs, I think, if that's correct. And then, or at least that's the attempt that's happening. Then you have Katie Alsalu, who people thought were going to MVP, and still remains to be seen where she's going to end up at. But there was one more name that I kind of forgot about, and I think a lot of people have forgotten about. That's Cadence Burge. Cadence Burge last year, after her big win, was promoted to the top team Discmania has, but it was a contract year, and we haven't heard anything from Cadence about any kind of, commitment to Discmania. Discmania has most of their big players announced already, so what's happening with Cadence? And if you look at her profile, it looks very typical boilerplate of somebody in the offseason who maybe doesn't want to talk much about where they're going. Basic generic posts, still wearing some of their old stuff, and I think it fits. And no one's talking about this. Nobody in the comment section has said, I wonder who that silhouette is of. And, it's got to be somebody. Maybe it's Cadence Burge. And I wonder, is this where Discraft maybe wanted people to get some buzz more about this, and it didn't work because, up to this point, they've been announcing players they already kind of have and people have expected to be there. So people are kind of zoning out, no pun intended, when they get to the end of the video there. But I think, and whether you want to say this is a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory or not, Discraft makes moves, and there are certain requirements to be on the elite team. Cadence is now a winner on tour. I think she's going to Discraft, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, you and I, we talked about this before anybody else did. So anyone else says when you hear those big guys be like, we're the first ones to talk about this, you remember, you go over to those comment sections, you say, no. Understable Discourse was where we heard this first. So yeah, I think pretty wild. But across the board, Discraft, no surprises on how they've performed so far. It is nice to see 2-year contracts being extended out to certain players. It is interesting to note, Adam Hammis gets a 1-year, him being a little bit of a younger player and that kind of thing, not going with a 2-year over there for him. I'm not sure if that's his side of the negotiation, a Discraft side of the negotiation, but he does get the zone, which is, if you're looking for a tour series disc to have, zone's a great one. Very standard. Everybody loves the zone, and it's a good time. So now it's just kind of what the positions are left. I think we were talking about Austin Turner being promoted. I think Cadence is going to be there, and then there's one more spot. Is it a European player like Lori Lehtinen? Is it someone like Luke Sampson getting a nod? Is it Silas Schultz if he doesn't end up over there? Or is it Evan Smith? Because if Evan or Silas, because with only 4 silhouettes in MVP, and Goose being the third one, there's no 2 silhouettes left. So one of those guys, I'm presuming, has to be on MVP, and the other one has to be on Discraft. But where does that leave us? So I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions that have to be answered yet as to who's going to be on which of these teams. And I think it's good to have a little bit of this question mark stuff near the end, because even though we came into this offseason thinking, man, there's going to be this massive ripple effect, all these players are going up on contract, where are they going to go? It hasn't been that dramatic of an offseason. And so to have a little bit of, fun here with what's happening, I think is a good thing overall. When you look at the contracts that are left out there still, you've got players like Kevin Jones, who hasn't had any kind of declaration yet as to where he is going to be ending up. Not sure yet. Corey Ellis, I think there's some courting going on of RPM, although he has been throwing Destroyers and a couple other Innova discs out there at the Tour Down Under. You've got, let's see, I think Zach Nash is a really interesting one because I think he's a super talented young player with a lot of potential. So whoever picks up Zach Nash is making an investment in the future, which would be really, really smart to do. You've got Joey Buckets hasn't re-announced signing up with Castoplast. It would be a little weird to see him go away from Castoplast, and this last season wasn't like his best season ever, so I don't see him making a lot of big money moves in that regard. But then you have a bunch of players that you're just, there's talent for, like a Gavin Rathbun. He's going to be a new dad, so maybe he's not touring as much. It's a little bit harder for companies to invest in him. You got Tuomas Jätinen, who I think is a great pickup for any group. And then you got even the outside stuff, like Jay Milley, who says he's going to be announcing a non-exclusive sponsor at Disc East. I'm curious to see who that is, because he's been doing a lot of work for different companies. I kind of think Discraft might be the one, because I think they're big enough to be able to give him a non-exclusive sponsorship. They understand the value in social media content. Same thing with MVP, though. MVP is also kind of in that boat. I don't think Jay Milley is going to be on the elite team, and I don't think he's going to be a silhouette because it's non-exclusive. It's a different kind of partnership, so there's that. But I don't know. Lots to see what's going to happen between the players who remain, and I'm excited. We're not that far away from the season, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Who's the signing that you're the most interested in? Like, who are you really the most excited to see where they're going and what's happening? I'd love to know, and let me know what you think. Are there theories that you think people aren't talking about enough, or are you just tired of hearing about? Questions that you have that you'd like me to dive into deeper, put them in the comments. I love seeing stuff there, and if you ask me to go find something or give my opinion on something, I 100% will, because I want to engage with each and every one of you. And speaking of engagement, one of the things that you can do that really supports the growth of this channel is hit the subscribe button. I'm going to take a moment here and pull the veil back for all of you. I've been doing this now for almost a year. You can see the episode count jumped because I decided to not do separate episode counts for Chain Reaction and the regular series, so I combined them together to represent the total number of episodes I've put out. I've been doing this for a while, and I have not missed a single week since I've started. And I've been averaging like 100 or less views on videos. And for some reason, last week's episode, we're almost at 10,000 views. And the amount of joy that I have from that, not because it's incredible, like, oh man, lots of people are listening to me talk about disc golf, but to see like the hard work kind of paying off, and then to see the subscriber count climb. I want to get up there, and I want to be able to do more of this, and getting closer to that ability to, start to monetize this thing and stuff gives me the chance to dive into this deeper. So if you're watching this and you want to support me, you want to support the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It is beyond helpful in ways that you'll never understand, and it takes no time, effort, or money on your part to do. But enough about that. Let's talk about the Australasia Open. So for those who haven't watched it yet, I am going to talk about the winners of both the FPO and the MPO. The MPO is all that stuff's already been put out there on YouTube. FPO is going to be delayed, so I'm going to put a little thing here that tells you what time you can skip to if you'd like to skip to catch whatever's left of the episode. So skip to this time right here. All right, thanks for sticking in here if you're still sticking in here. Let's talk about the Australasia Open, because I think it was really fascinating to see kind of what went down there. They played this at the Taupo course. This is the former Taupo Open, and you got past winners like Corey Ellis and Aiden Scott in the field, and winner this year already, Levi Stout, comes out real hot in round one. Big Germ is down there now, and the course is super windy. I mean, beyond windy. It's kind of the thing you have to get really used to doing and playing in when you're down there. And I think that's why so many players get a lot of benefit from playing down there, because they're putting themselves in a competition position in adverse conditions, and it's just forcing them to have to play better, faster, and get more involved earlier in the season. So they're coming into Supreme Flight already kind of battle tested in a certain way. And it gets the best of some people. Big Germ was +8 through the first 4 holes. Not the day he wanted, especially on camera, but he fought back in the event a little bit later, missed cash just by a little bit. But really the fight came down to the typical people. So after day 1, Corey Ellis out to an outstanding lead, -8, given the wind conditions, really impressive. He did yell out to Levi after the last event, just wait till next week, because he was determined to take Levi down. And then you have Paul Oman at 6 under, Bradley Williams at 5 under, and then kind of a dead heat tie between Aiden Scott, Levi Stout, and Isaac Latta, all at 2 down. So not the greatest first round for Levi, and not the greatest rounds for a few other players. Corey Ellis kind of off to the races going into round 2. And in round 2 is where we see that it kind of flips a little bit. Corey Ellis doesn't have the same level of performance, shoots a +1 to go back to 7 over. Paul Oman shoots -1, and Levi Stout hits the 6 down to take the lead, after the end of round 2, with Eli Swanson not far behind, shooting a 5 under round, which was super duper impressive. And we're kind of watching these guys battle it out going into the final round with, Bradley Williams tied with Eli, 5 people really in contention to win this event after the first 2 rounds. And so that's when we come to our final round here, and things get off to a pretty solid start for the group, especially Eli Swanson, who very quickly climbs his way into the conversation. And here's something fun you may not know about Eli Swanson. They mentioned this on the coverage. Not only is he playing in this event, but he was getting up very early in the morning to go out and do the basket cam for the FPO field. And this is the same guy, Eli, who does all the filming and editing of Ezra Aderhold and Aaron Gossage's practice rounds. So Eli's a busy man, and he's still playing in this. And he comes out and he goes 5 under through the first 6 holes, including an epic thumber on hole 2, which honestly, my personal Instagram handle's Thumber Life. I love overhand shots. Super great to see. And you kind of see like Paul Oman get off to a slower start, Corey Ellis get off to a slightly slower start, Levi slower start. You hit hole 7 and bogeys start flying. 8, another bogey, and then hole 9, everyone bogey. So going into the back 9, it's a pretty close race between these players. And we kind of get into it with 11 and 12 being birdie fests, and that's when Paul Oman and Eli start to separate themselves from the other 2, and we have a bit of a battle with both of them getting the birdie on hole 14. And then on hole 16, Eli takes a very definitive birdie, while Paul takes a bogey. But they get it back when Eli bogeys 17 and Paul birdies hole 18. But Eli was able to hold it together coming down the stretch on 18 and get the par to secure the win in the Australasia Open for 2026. A huge win for Eli and for his career. Really exciting to see him do that. And now we've got 2 unique winners on the Go Throw Tour Down Under. Really great to see. I'm super excited to see the next event and where things go from there. Over on the FPO side, we have our battle between really, a few players. The players that I kind of called out before this started: Kat Merge, Sarah Hokum, Paige Pierce, Sophia Donica, Taylor Chosick, Jennifer Smiley. A few of them kind of out of it early. Jennifer Smiley is not, this just wasn't her event. Same thing with Taylor Chosick. And we kind of have, Kat Merch gets off to a pretty wild start, shooting 8 under par, 7 strokes better than the rest of her competitors. And it's pretty clear at this point that it is her event to lose. Now, we've seen Kat do this stuff before and struggle to maintain that lead. And she comes out in the second round, shoots a 1 under par. Surrendering strokes to Chandler Ray, shoots 6 down. Sarah Hokum shooting 4 down. But still, Kat Merch has the outright lead. Paige Pierce not that far behind Sophia Donica. Going into round 3, all Kat needs to do is just perform decently. And she does. She comes out and shoots a 7 under par. Tied for 7 under with Sarah Hokum, 6 under for Paige Pierce. Shooting a total 16 down for the event. and taking it outright. Huge performance by Kat Mertsch. I think a great jump start for her. We're looking to see, is Kat Mertsch going to be the person who she can be this year? Is she going to shake off all the stuff that she deals with, the conversations of, is she going to be the kind of player who can win on the Pro Tour? And having a win out here before the season starts, I think is going to be really, really big for her. But the story that I want to talk about before we end here is the story of MJ18 player Sarah Wadsworth. Now, Sarah Wadsworth is a 10-year-old. Sarah is a 10-year-old. And not only is she just a 10-year-old, she is a 3-time junior world champion and 4-time world distance record holder in her age class. She's incredible. And so she comes out and she shoots a 3 under par in the first round. Which, by the way, if you're keeping track, they're playing the same layout as the FPO field. And so that would put her in the same conversation of, she'd be in second place in FPO had she played FPO. Which is wild to watch a 10-year-old go out and do that. In the second round, Sarah Wadsworth shoots a +1, still staying at 2 under par, 17 strokes better than her next closest competitor, Jacob Rice. You know, she's taken down guys in this MJ18 division. Now, I say guys, they're still pretty young, but she's getting the job done. And then in the final round, the wind kind of gets to her a little bit. Shoots 6 over par to finish at +4. But that +4 would have put her right there in contention at the cash line in FPO. So really excited to see such a wonderful young talent playing disc golf. Showcases the growth of our sport and the trajectory that's having amongst youth. And really awesome to see. I'm just so excited about it. So yeah, that's the Australasia Open. Did you watch it? Is it something that you're excited about? We have a few more events here to go. I think there's a lot of excitement to be had here in the last several weeks as we go into the season. But yeah, next week, on Wednesday, we're going to be having an episode looking ahead, and I'm going to be talking a lot about Disc East. And I know you're thinking, Gary, you're going to tell us about an expo? Yeah, I'm going to tell you about an expo because there's some stuff you're probably not even thinking about, because as you look at the map of who's going to be there, it's really telling who's going to be there, and more importantly, who's not going to be there. So some stuff I want to tell you about and things I'm excited about, and that's what we're going to be doing. But hey, that's been it for today for Understable Discourse and the Chain Reaction. Thank you so much for being here. If you stuck it out to the bitter end, I love and appreciate you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment down below any question you want to know about. Gary, what are your thoughts on this or this or this? I will address it in the next episode because I'm a man of the people. Absolute man of the people. But thank you so much for being here. Much love and appreciation. Go out there, watch some disc golf, play some disc golf. Until next time, this has been Understable Discourse. Talk to you later.